Apple TV Plus is bringing us another series about people living in a vault, following, of course, the big hit Fallout and Apple TV Plus's own Silo. This one, though, is more family friendly. This is based on a children's sci-fi book series. Let's talk about WondLa. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for the new series WondLa. This is streaming right now on Apple TV Plus. It's got 7 episodes for season 1, and it is based on the book The Search for Wanda. And there are 3 books in this series, and the poster for this show mentions the trilogy. So knowing Apple TV Plus, it's probably already greenlit seasons 2 and 3, and just haven't announced it yet. They always are behind their shows. A lot of their shows get a second season renewal before the first season even airs. So I feel like Apple TV Plus, of all of the streamers, is probably the best, most secure place for creators to sort of run their series. But anyway, before we launch into the specifics of this show, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews on the channel here, and just about every day something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out, and with that in mind, please consider subscribing, click that like button, comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. All right, so I was unfamiliar with this series. I don't have kids, so the children's book world, usually escapes me, but apparently these are fairly popular books. And like I said, this one, I guess, is based mostly on that first book. And then in subsequent seasons, I guess we'll get into the other stuff. But this basically is about this girl, Eva, or Eva, actually, is how they pronounce it, played by Janine Mason here, who I was unfamiliar with, but she won one of the seasons of You Think You Can Dance, and so then she started kind of an acting career after that, and she was in Roswell, New Mexico on the CW, so she's got a few credits to her name, but she is... well, we see her as a young girl at first, but eventually she is having her 16th birthday, and she is raised in this bunker by Mother, who is a robot caretaker. I forget what Mother stands for. It's M-U-T-H-R. It's like multi-use something robot. But she is voiced by Terry Hatcher. Of course, we know her from Desperate Housewives and Lois and Clark. But there is an attack on Eva's bunker, and so she ends up on the surface of this strange planet called Orbona, which is inhabited by aliens and other, worldly type of flora and fauna. However, we don't see any other humans. Is Eva the last human alive? And there are clues that maybe she is not, but seems like we may have to find the answer to that in subsequent seasons. But you also have voice work by Brad Garrett here, Alan Tudyk. He's always welcome as a voice role. John Ratzenberger, who, of course, was Cliff on Cheers. He was the lucky... the lucky rabbit's foot for Pixar for all those years that John Lasseter ran the studio. And oh, surprise, surprise, this is executive produced by John Lasseter. And he has got a new sort of lease on life. He was kind of Me Too'd a little bit and ended up exiting Pixar in like 2020 or something like that. But he found new life at Skydance Animation, and he, I think, directed the Apple TV Plus animated movie Luck, which I thought was pretty good, actually. And John Ratzenberger was in that. So I thought, okay, so he's not necessarily loyal to Pixar. He's loyal to John Lasseter. And sure enough, he appears in this in a few episodes as well. So look, there are a lot of bunker type shows lately. Like I mentioned up top, you have Fallout, you have Apple TV Plus's own Silo, both of which, I think are very, very good. But yeah, I guess that's one of the... the hot plot points of the moment. And Silo, I don't know if that was based on anything. Fallout, of course, was based on, the video game series. But this one, based on the books. I think this is a really, really interesting show because it takes all of those conceits from those other things I mentioned and really, really makes it family friendly. All of those Silo is probably more cerebral than anything. If I'm remembering, I don't think there was a lot of like horrible language or anything. Like Fallout is very, very, mature audiences kind of thing. Silo, I think maybe was just a little bit heady for kids. But here, this is a very family-friendly version of the the plot basically of some of these other shows. And the animation is fine. Skydance never brings us the most cutting edge animation technology. I think it's done in an animation house in Canada, but this looks a lot like the movie Luck and some of the other things they've done over the years. It's fine, but it's not necessarily anything that eye popping or groundbreaking. The biggest issue for me here actually is with the voice work, sadly enough. Terry Hatcher, look, I love her, from her acting roles. Desperate Housewives was one of my favorites back when that was on. But she is the voice of this robot, and she's done voice work before because she was the other mother in Coraline, and she was great there. But having to do a high-tech robot, I don't know, seemed to elude her. It seemed like she was going for almost a natural sounding voice, but then every so often she would slip into the robot mode. And it was just like, it was very sort of jarring. Again, I love Terry Hatcher, but maybe this was not the role for her. And then Brad Garrett is fine. He's Brad Garrett as this creature. He's not really changing his voice. Alan Tudyk, of course, always welcome, always something different. I actually was thinking about 3 different people along the way were Alan Tudyk, and it turned out that only the one was. But he changes his voice so much for his roles. You can't tell him. So for me, and the girl playing Eva, she was fine. Again, I didn't really recognize her from anything. I don't watch So You Think You Can Dance, but she did actually pretty good with her voice work, and some of the more trained voice actors that I didn't mention are fine too. But yeah, Terry Hatcher and Brad Garrett, I just kind of threw me off right away. And obviously I know it's a good hook to get some famous people into the mix for your animated movie or show. Obviously, that's been sort of the bread and butter of studios like Pixar and DreamWorks all of these years. But I don't know. I think for this one, maybe, especially for the mother character, we could have had just a regular voice actress, not a TV star, so to speak. I can't say A-lister. I don't know if Terry Hatcher is quite there, but yeah, for me that was kind of the downfall of this. But otherwise, I really enjoyed watching this, and it's a quick watch. All episodes are about 25 minutes or less. There's 7 of them, so you can just breeze through this right away. I binged it all, and I think the ending sets it up nicely for a season 2. Again, I'm not positive that that's how the first book in the series ends, but it would make sense if there's going to be 3 seasons of this to kind of go in order of the books and have each one be representative of one of the books. But yeah, concept wise, I liked it. The dialogue is fine. There's a little bit of comedic elements, but look, for a sort of sci-fi primer for kids, I mean, I think kids as young as really like 5 or 6 could watch this and get something out of it. But I think it's also accessible for parents and older kids. I don't think it's dumbed down really at all. I think we'll explore some of those classic sci-fi sort of conceits with this, but it's understandable for young kids as well, and I think that helps. So I leave WondLa with an A-, and you can check that out, all 7 episodes now on Apple TV+. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.